In the name of Jesus. There was no room for them in the inn, as we had it in translation there. Really probably means more like there was no guest bedroom for them. There was no place for them to go. Bethlehem was filled up with all of the people for the census and tax. And so all of the great plans that had been made, the family that they had hoped would be there for them, didn't work. There was no room for them. So they had to stay in alternate accommodations with the animals in the backyard, as it were. There is something to be said about a God who begins his journey on earth by being displaced. Tells us something. Tells us something about ourselves, first of all. Because of our fall to sin, because of what had happened so long before, we are lost, displaced, constantly trying to find our way in a world that never seems to have room for what we truly need. Because of our sin, we even go head first into all of the wrong places, all of the wrong things that we do. And so God begins his journey on earth here as one of us by being as lost as we are. There was no room for them in the inn. It is an amazing picture. God takes our place. He sits in our life and becomes one of us. That's the picture to be remembered. 104 years ago, on a Christmas, probably not that different from this one, there was a war going on. The war to end all wars, it was called. And in that war, brothers fought against each other, cousins, families, extended countries that had been friends, more or less, found themselves at odds in a war that meant hundreds of thousands would die in trenches in France. It was the opposite of a time of peace. It was a time when a whole continent became displaced and full of sorrow. But on that Christmas, something strange and miraculous happened. You've probably heard of it. Sometimes it's called the Christmas truce, where both sides laid down their arms and decided that they weren't going to fight for a day. And they began to exchange what things that you had when you were in trench warfare. Cigarettes, little bits of chocolate, whatever it might be, even singing some Christmas carols along the way, sometimes in English, sometimes in German, sometimes in French. Even in the midst of that kind of war and displacement, this little moment of peace enters in. And that's the kind of miraculous work that God is about. That peace at that time lasted a day or two. They were pretty reluctant to start up the fighting again afterwards, but they managed it. But the peace that only God can bring, the eternal peace that comes through the birth of this Son, this one, happens even now and comes to you this night. And because of that, because God came to earth in such a way, because he was willing to be lost with us, that means that you have a place. Not just a guest room, not just staying at the inn. You have a home, a real home, a home with Jesus. Because now, because God has become a part of your family, you are now part of God's family. And that is what peace is all about. The peace that passes all understanding. The peace that only God can give. The peace that means even when everything else in our lives goes haywire, and there are times when it does, that peace of God will remain and endure. And you will live because you live in the name of our infant Lord.